Welcome to the divisional round edition of the Dungeon of Doom podcast. Ben Raven here, Corey Woods here.
What up, Doom?
Man, a lot up with you. We'll get into that in a second, but we're here. It's the divisional round week. The Detroit Lions host the Washington Commanders, 8 p.m. Saturday night. Corey, against all odds, is still with us, man. I've been leaning on Corey this week with two classes starting again, and we had a late Tuesday night locker room while I had my first class of the semester, and well, Corey, you've had 2 trips to urgent care in the last 30 hours, and you're still standing.
I don't know what happened. If I did not have receipts from me actually going to urgent care, you would think this is something like the boy who cried wolf to get out of work. I mean, I race out of here with an allergic reaction on a Monday, and then yesterday, as I'm dropping my son off on daycare, my car is parked and gets hit. Has a ripple effect by knocking me into my own car and banging my knee. Boom, another trip to ER, and my knee's throbbing all day. I'm on different types of medications and steroids, legal steroids, and it's just, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, man. The injury woes are leaking into the beat.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm on injury reserve too. Add me on the list with everybody else on there.
I get a Microsoft Teams message from Corey. I've been in the weeds working on a feature and kind of out of the picture a little bit. And I just got hit by a car. I'm going to urgent care. Should still be good for locker room tonight. So there you go. Hardest working guy in the game. Nothing slows him down. Seriously crazy.
I'm here.
Yeah, that's right. And before we get into the mailbag, thanks to all the subtexters out there for submitting those questions. Man, Lions Commanders, Jaden Daniels, 2 aggressive Dans leading the way, man. It's a great matchup. I know the books are high on the Lions, like nearly double-digit favorites, but as good as I feel about the Lions, I don't think they're blowing this team out.
Absolutely not. I mean, if you just look at the way that the Commanders have played all season long, first off, got to give Dan Quinn some credit, just the way he's been able to come in there and instantly turn that team around. If I'm not mistaken, that was their first playoff win since 2006. I believe it was coincidentally against the
Mark Brunell started the Commanders' last playoff win.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
That's right. Mark Brunell revenge game, as Jared Goff said last night.
And that was coincidentally against the Buccaneers, and now they're here. They've had some talent on that offense, but now you bring in a guy like Jaden Daniels, who's having an incredible rookie year, has the second most rushing yards for a QB this season behind Lamar Jackson. I think it was 891.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been a dog, and it's been fun to watch the Lions, of course, have this season, but it's been good just to see the Commanders get that thing turned around. Hopefully for you guys fans, they don't play that well on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. I know there are some, for our older listeners, I've heard it from my dad, like Washington in the playoffs for Detroit has kind of been a factory of nightmares over the years.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, 2000, 92, 93, and I think there was one in the 80s there too, but this is the first one that will come from Detroit. But like you said about Daniels, he is the motor for this team. Yeah. And all the credit in the world to Cliff Kingsbury. You can say anything you want about him, his trials and tribulations along the way, what he did as an NFL head coach. He has built an offense that goes through that quarterback, running, passing. Man, I think back to the 3rd and short play that set up that game-winning field goal against the Bucs last week. Daniels is tackled 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, except he wasn't. He gets the first down. They're able to kick the walk-off field goal. I mean, this is a rookie. I know he's an older rookie, got a lot of tread on the tires from his college days, a Heisman winner. But, man, rookie quarterbacks do not win playoff games on the road. That's crazy.
And he just looks so composed.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, it's like, I know that, Dan Campbell said it earlier this week, he does not look like a rookie, but when you're just watching him, you really do get that sense that Daniels has been around the NFL at least 3 years.
Yeah,
this is a guy that's been around the league because the way that he moves, the way that he makes plays, and he just doesn't crack under pressure. He makes one mistake, he's back up and dusted off real quick like nothing happened. And I believe that is a big reason why the Commanders are now in the divisional round. They have a rookie QB that, again, a little bit older, but a guy that is battle tested and does not crack under pressure.
Yeah, they're aggressive on 4th down. Not as aggressive as Detroit, but they're more efficient on 4th down than anybody. It was 20 of 23 in the season on 4th down. 20 of 23? That ain't bad. And I know they lost a couple in the division, but they went 3 of 5 on fourth down, and they won that game with the fourth down conversions that they got. So you got an aggressive coach who's built a culture kind of similar to what they have here in Detroit. There's a lot of similarities. There's a good defensive coordinator. There's an offensive coordinator who understands the strengths of his offense. And you see Daniels, man, he's not afraid to tuck and run. He's not afraid to throw it deep for Terry. He's not afraid to target Zach Ertz in the red zone. I mean, he leans on those guys that he can depend on. And I mean, it's an interesting matchup, man, because I know you wrote about it earlier this week. Who does well against running quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Nobody. But it has been a thorn in this group's side in the past. And I mean, Daniels is a different challenge because he's not just running; he'll throw that thing.
He will launch. We've seen him launch to Terry, Dynamic Brown. He's been launched to those Zach Ertz, who's having a resurgence this season.
Lions legend.
So the Lions have their plate full. Again, I know we're going to get into predictions later. I believe that this is a team that they can beat, but this is also one of those, as they say, any given Sunday, any given Saturday type teams that you just cannot take lightly.
No, I mean, they've got it done in the clutch with their back against the wall all season, and this is a 13-win team. Yeah. This is not a 10-win wild card team. This was a 13-win team, is a 13-win team. And I'll just say this before we get into the predictions, the Lions should be able to run the ball against these guys. Yeah. That is the big glaring weakness of Washington, is that the Lions should be able to sit back there with Gibbs, with Montgomery back, and pound that thing and pound them into submission. Well, yeah, let's get into the mailbag questions. Great stuff as always. You know, wide-ranging, versatile questions this week. We'll lead it off with John A., just because this is kind of the talk of the week. Will the Lions be at a competitive disadvantage as far as interviewing potential offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator candidates because of hopefully getting to the Super Bowl? All the hot candidates may have already been taken. I think he's talking about Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn eventually leaving, and then the Lions having to fill those roles. The Lions will look at outside names, without question, but there are some great internal candidates here, especially for defensive coordinator, in my opinion. And Kelvin Shepard is an obvious name to watch. Scotty Montgomery is a sneaky name to watch, maybe getting that offensive coordinator title. Yeah. And Tanner Engstrom, if he stays, is another name to watch too. But I don't know. What's your take on that?
Here's my take on it. When look at Dan Campbell's initial coaching staff. You know, they had Anthony Lynn, and that did not work out.
No.
What did you do? They didn't go out and get somebody different. They promoted Ben Johnson to offensive coordinator, a guy that was here a couple of seasons before Dan even arrived.
Yeah.
And they found that. I think that, and also too, you know, you had Aubrey Pleasant here in the passing game coordinator. You had Dre Bly here, and they went ahead and moved on from those guys and brought in guys that have done well. Chad Thompson's done well. You look at the running backs coach, Scotty Montgomery. You had to lose. Deuce Staley had to leave. You brought in Scotty Montgomery, and of course you drafted some dynamic back, and then added David Montgomery. But I guess to the point I'm getting at is that Dan Campbell has the pulse of his staff and his locker room. He knows who to replace these guys with, and he knows how to spot their talent. Because again, Ben Johnson wasn't a name until he became one after getting his promotion and seeing what he can do. So I think that regardless of whether they go look at an outside candidate or decide to promote somebody within, I believe that Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, and this whole regime has an eye for not just identifying talent in the draft, but identifying coaches that fit the culture.
Yeah, I would say Dan Campbell's got just as good fingerprint on his coaching staff that he does as players and everything in between. I mean, really. And if you want an outside name that to watch for DC, I mean, I've said it from the beginning. The old Saints head coach, Dennis Allen. Yeah. There's connections there. That's someone you can trust that defense. That's someone that knows how you want to play defense, know how you've been playing defense. And I mean, I'm not making him head coach, Dennis Allen. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with being a very damn good defensive coordinator, and that's what he is. So, like, if you're looking for me to pitch an outside name, there you go. You know, and I think the Lions are worth waiting around for.
And that's the other thing, too. We all know that they have these back channel talks and whatnot. Best believe that if Aaron Glenn does leave, you know, Dennis Allen is probably just sitting in the wing like, all right, I know that's going to be
let me call Dan. Yeah, exactly. Let me call my buddy Dan. I mean, honestly, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. I get what you're saying, John, but I wouldn't be worried about that because another plus of these guys being former players, the connections run deep. Yeah. They've got the coaching pipeline. They've got the player pipeline. they got Brad Holmes' pipeline, and as you laid out wonderfully, they have replaced and pulled the plug and replaced better than anybody the last 3 years. So believe in the core. They'll get it done. I understand what you're getting at, but hey, that's life in the NFL, and that's life for a contender. We got another coordinator type question from John W. This is a Ben Johnson question. The Lions put their players in position to be successful at what they're good at. Do all the talking heads of the media just think it's a system? In a copycat league, systems are duplicated frequently. Success doesn't necessarily follow. Look at the Patricia regime and all the Belichick assistants. I get what you're saying there too, and that we can answer this one quickly because Dan Campbell called plays in that first year when he promoted Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell understands this offense. Dan Campbell knows what he wants his offense to be. Ben Johnson has taken that and helped it evolve, put his own spin on it. The connection with Jared Goff was special, but man, at the end of the day, Dan Campbell got this offensive revolution started.
His fingerprints have been all over this thing since day one, especially the offense. So, I mean, it's like, again, I understand what you mean, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to this coaching, it really, as whoever he brings in here as talent or whatnot, it starts and ends with Dan.
Yeah, and just a funny thing that I got shared with me the other day, I thought of that Waterboy scene when Coach Klein, it's a flashback scene. He's talking about him getting a head coaching job, and the head coach of the program is like, "You're going to give me that green playbook. You're not leaving with that green playbook." So don't worry. That playbook, that scheme, it will, aspects will leave with Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
And Ben Johnson is a hellaciously good offensive coordinator, but I still am not tripping out too much.
And then again, I mean, if Ben were to leave, he's not taking the entire offense.
Yeah,
he's taking concepts, some ideas. But again, best believe that whoever replaces him, whether it's inside or outside, they've looked at what has made this Lions offense as successful as it is. Yeah. I mean, I believe they finished the season with the 4th most points scored in NFL history. Yeah. I don't think anybody just going to come in here is going to try to, redo everything. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just kind of add on to it, like you said, put your own spin on it.
That's what every coach is going to do, no matter what happens here with the offense next year. It's going to be the same offense with some tweaks. Yeah. Like there's no question. Like coaches are going to coach. They're in this position for a reason, and not saying ego in a bad way, but those egos do exist, and they did help them get here. So you will see. I mean, all hypothetical, but Cameron Jones with a question: what are the reasons to be worried about Washington other than containing Daniels? And he just, not a question, but just wants to give a huge thank you to Alex Anzalone. And I would just say the return of Alex Anzalone, how he looked in that Week 18 game, what they need to do against Ertz and that rushing attack. I mean, worry about Daniels, but have faith in this defense to be able to handle it. You're not going to see a Josh Allen breakout.
Yeah, that was different. But again, everybody ain't Josh Allen.
No, exactly. I know.
So thank God for that. But I mean, for me, I hope I don't have to go to ER now for biting my tongue.
Oh no! No, I was wondering what happened there.
No, I would say another reason to be worried about this team is it's still kind of an extension of Daniels. Is there's a scary Terry in NFL too. His name is Terry McLaurin. That guy is bad. Lions secondary, I believe that. I don't know if they're going to play the exact same way they did against the Vikings, but I mean, this guy compared with that quarterback is an absolute problem. And I just want to say, hey, he's a guy. I don't know how much Lions fans have kept up with Terry, but go look at some tape on him and just understand that he's a problem, and don't get bent out of shape if he breaks open a couple plays, because if you just look at his track record since coming in the league, he's been just a model of consistency. It's just that the Commanders just haven't played well.
Yeah, and the touchdowns have been coming this year, and he's finally got the quarterback to kind of take him to that next level. But yeah, Terry, inside-outside killer, not going to beat you overtowering, but he still has a crazy contested catchability. And I mean, like I said earlier, Daniels ain't afraid to put that thing up. So secondary is going to have to be on it. But I am curious to see how much of that Vikings game plan gets used against a rookie quarterback, gets used against a team who they're going to go to. The weapons are, do you blitz a lot? Do you leave guys on island and man coverage? It worked against Justin Jefferson. They were able to double him. They were able to bracket him. They were able to shade that side of the field with an extra coverage helper. But how much of that comes over to this game? I don't know. I think you will see I said it earlier last week. I think it's going to be aggressive as hell on offense. Yeah. I think Glenn is going to be as aggressive as hell on defense. And I think that's what you have to do against a rookie quarterback, no matter how good he's been.
I think on both sides of the ball, they're going to be especially aggressive. I mean, earlier this season, they kind of started out a little bit slow. I think it's because, they had new pieces on the team. Everybody's getting a little bit comfortable. But right now, this team has not had this type of arrest since week 5.
Yeah, that's wild.
I don't think it's really more so going to be like super worried about rust. I think this is going to be rejuvenation.
I think so.
Rejuvenation play.
I know you always wonder about are they going to come out of the bye feeling? Heck yeah, they're going to come out of the bye looking like the same team. They haven't, like you said, that bye week. That was week 5. That was before the Dallas game. That was before the Hutchinson injury. Man, not just the injured guys. Yeah. Everybody on this team needed that breather. That's not even considering how many injuries they've had. They've been running hard. They finished the season with back-to-back primetime games, 2 road trips in December right before that. I mean, this. Yeah, they needed a breather.
Me, it's a possibility because of that breather that it may not be rust. They might come out and play some of their best football in the weeks.
That's kind of what I was trying to say. Is just I don't think there's a risk of rust. I really just don't see that with this team. So, yeah, I mean, they're trying to become the first NFC 1 seed to win the Super Bowl since 2017. It has not been kind of the 1 seeds out of that conference. But, yeah, man, that's the biggest thing is they got a chance to regain themselves. They got a chance for their coordinators to do interviews without being distracted while in between practice and stuff like that. And you take that every time you can get it.
And then there's a little last tidbit on that, not to make it too long, but you also have the other outside motivating factor of that. Not only if you just win this game, you go back to the NFC Championship. The NFC Championship in Detroit.
Yeah.
Off that alone, man, that's got to be an extra boost just to be able to get the juices flowing.
I mean, we could be talking about that next week. That's how fast it moves with the first round bye. Is all of a sudden holy crap, we are in the playoffs.
It's quick.
We are here. There was no wild card warm up. It was the first round bye was an adjustment for us too, but no rust here other than Corey's trips to the ER. The next 4 questions. Good job, guys. Kim Mann, Brandon Thornton, all about mobile quarterbacks being the Achilles heel. What are they going to do to stop RPOs and traps? How are they going to change? Will the DBs be disciplined enough to stay back to not get beat on those play action RPOs? How will that impact the ability to stop the run? They're going to play the way they're going to play. Now, it's either going to be what they did all season, which was mostly man coverage and blitzing, or it's going to be what they did in week 18. It was blitz even more and rely on man coverage even more. And I think with the defensive line being healthy, there's going to be a lot of trust in that defensive line to stop the running game while blitzing those linebackers and worrying about Ertz and Terry from the slot, from the outside, from the inside. And somebody want to know if the experience against Kyler Murray during the days of Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona, does that give us a blueprint on how to limit the damage he does? Not really. Those are 2 very different guys.
Yeah, I believe there's a difference between, from call me stupid, whatever. There's a difference between him being a quarterback that's mobile and one that is being able to really efficiently run. When you have guys like a Lamar Jackson, a Jaden Daniels, Anthony Richardson, I believe, will kind of be up there very soon.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, throw Jalen Hurts up in there too. Those are guys, those are quarterbacks that can legit run.
Yeah.
And again, as Dan Campbell said, name a team that has been good at limiting those guys.
It's so true.
So mobile quarterbacks, you can kind of maybe, do some things against them, but those guys like that, they're few and far in between for a reason. They're special for a reason. They're going to go ahead and make their plays, and you can't get mad if they pop one off. What you got to do is just make sure they don't pop too many of them off and limit as much as possible.
For sure. It's going to happen. They're going to get hit. And I will say, I think the experience and the tape on Cliff Kingsbury as a head coach, yes, that helps.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at Kyler Murray and trying to defend Jaden Daniels, you're going down the wrong path. There's like a foot and 50 pounds of difference there. There's, and that's not me hating on Kyler either.
Yeah.
It's just
a different game.
He is a Mighty Mouse bottle rocket. Well, yeah.
You're talking about Jaden Daniels, who was in the top as a QB.
Yeah.
In the top 23 rushers this season.
Yeah, exactly. And not that Kyler can't do that, but Kyler ain't breaking tackles the way Jaden does. It's just such a different. But yeah, you've got the tape on how Cliff wants to run offenses from Texas Tech to Arizona to a full year at Washington now. yes, that helps, but don't look at too much Kyler Murray
Right,
tape.
right.
Yeah. Steve Dillenbach wants to know what's up with Broderick Martin, Giovanni Manu, and Colby Sorsdale. Development. You said it here in your question. They're development projects, and that is what they are. They're on the main roster because the Lions believe in them. They like where it's going. Shout out Justin Rogers, did a great feature on Manu the other day. A lot of quotes about that guy learning how to use his body and stuff like that. And I know Sorsdale being back down and inactive, like, raises question marks because he played as a rookie. He played some this year. Man, that's a 5th-round pick out of William and Mary. No matter how many live bullets you see in an NFL game, he's still a young player, developmental guy, and this is a Super Bowl contender.
And also, too, with the young team, you need some developmental guys. You need some guys that you can kind of like coach along the way, so that in the event, maybe years later, something does happen, you can pop those guys in. But right now, like you said, on a team that has Super Bowl aspirations, do you want to see those guys out there right now?
Right.
No, if those guys are out there, no disrespect to them, you might have some concerns.
Exactly. Ron Harper ain't playing 40 minutes for the Pistons. I mean, they're developmental guys, and they really are. They're lottery tickets. They're developmental guys. They're all young. They're all inexperienced. And that's a big jump. And I mean, the fact that they're here working on the main roster shows the belief.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does. They're protecting those guys on the main roster for a reason. Yes, it's not right now, but hey, you might see 1, 2, or 3 of those guys next year. So,
absolutely.
I mean, seriously, though. We've got another Emmanuel Mosley question. I don't know, man. I don't think he's going to play any defensive reps. If he's active and able, you might see him at gunner. But yeah, Mosley, it's been – oh, wait, no. Yeah, Mosley on the field this week. That's right. He's on the non-football injury list.
Yeah,
no. Yeah. It's been hard to keep up with his stuff.
Yeah, I think we were asked about him a couple of weeks ago if we saw him, returning just at any point this season.
Yeah.
What does it look like? I mean, right now, I would say that with the way things are going with his injury, recovery or diagnosis.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on with it, if he's in a game, it's because something bad happened to everybody that was in front of him.
So true. And that leads into the next question. Is Terrion Arnold expected to be fullback? What about Rakestraw? Vildor has to man cover McLaurin. That's going to be anxiety producing. John Bloomfield with the Arnold, full go.
Yeah.
Back in practice, full participant, carted off. Unbelievable how bad it looked on replay and carting off, unable to put any pressure on it, but foot contusion, day-to-day, back-to-back full participants. I would say he's back.
And again, I think we talked about this before. It looked bad when it happened. Because, anytime you see a cart come out, it's like, that is the real doom and gloom. Like, oh, crap.
No, it is.
Cart.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, a couple hours later, you see him standing up, and he's on TikTok dancing. RIP TikTok. If you see him standing up on TikTok dancing, you got to be like, okay, something is good. It ain't all that bad, because that would be a bad look if he was seriously injured and he's up dancing a couple of hours after that type of injury. So,
Yeah, that contusion must have run deep, because he could not put pressure on it off the field, needed help to the bench, needed help to the cart. It was looking bad, but I mean, shoot. I think if he's practicing full go, he's going to play every snap like he usually does. And Rakestraw, not at practice the last 2 days, had his window open. I would say scratch him out for this weekend, to be determined if they make the NFC title game. They need as much defensive back help as they can get. And, Vildor, knows the system, plays the way they want, but I would not want him in man coverage with Terry McLaurin either.
Yeah, I'm not going to leave that one alone.
Yeah, perfect. Last question before we get into predictions. Brandon Thompson. Lately, I wonder why I watch these games when so much of it seems to be anxiety-inducing. Y'all are worried. Do y'all have any tips on how to just have fun with it? How can I go into watching a game without an impending sense of doom, without feeling super low after a loss? It's the playoffs. You're going to feel either great or terrible. Everything's on the line. But I'm assuming you're a lifelong Lions fan. Just remember what you wanted 4 years ago. You wanted January football games. You wanted home playoff games. You just wanted to be in the dance. It's ahead of schedule. It's a legit Super Bowl contender. Be pissed off and angry and sad if they lose, but just ground yourself in the moment of like, man, as Dan Campbell said via Jim Harbaugh a couple weeks ago, who's got it better than us?
I'll say it like this. Normally, and at least since I've been alive, when the Lions season ends, your Super Bowl is looking towards the NFL draft.
We haven't talked about it.
Yeah, that's normally that's normally a Lions fan Super Bowl looking towards the NFL draft. Yes, it's
3 years ago.
Yeah, just 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And my thing is like, yeah, I can understand the anxiety, even though we're supposed to be unbiased. We get it too. The anxiety of the worry of what is this team going to do? How are they going to compete? But I believe that's the beauty of what's going on with them, that
Yeah.
they're now playing meaningful football games.
Oh, yeah.
The fan base now matters. You have the highest ticket price right now in NFL history for a single game. Like,
Unbelievable.
I would say embrace the feeling, because now it means that for a lot of you who have been lifelong Lions fans, the franchise not only matters to you, which it always did, but it now matters to the whole nationalized. You're at the party, you're at the dance,
You're here.
You've always been wanted to be here, and just enjoy the moment and take it for whatever it is. And hey, pain and glory, it comes with it's going to come to somebody, but at least you're able to watch your team win games that you thought you never would see them win.
That's right. They're in the middle of the circus, and it's about time to perform.
Yeah.
Prediction, you're up. NFC divisional round, Lions versus Commanders, Saturday night.
I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to say Lions 35, Commanders 21.
Love it. I'm taking the Lions too. Give me the Lions 24, Commanders 17.
Okay.
A little tighter game, a little more defense. But I believe in these Lions, and I think they're going to the NFC title game, man.
I think so too. I just think that at the end of the day, regardless of what happens, I mean, we just heard Dave Phipps said that Dan Campbell just knows how to prepare for these games better than any other coach that he's ever seen. And it's not just with I have to say it's not just with the NFC title game at stake. It being here in Detroit, they've been all about giving this fan base something that they've never experienced before, and 60 minutes will be away from that.
That's right.
I don't see it. At worst, I see NFC Championship.
There you go. We are your Dungeon of Doom podcast. I'm Ben Raven. He's Corey Woods. MLive.com/Lions for all the good stuff this weekend. We'll talk to you and see you very soon.